Howdy, howdy, fellow movie fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers podcast. Brought to you by those Davies boys, which be Evan and Dylan Davies. Hopping in the DeLorean, going back to the 2000s. How you feeling about that
one? I'd say it's probably my favorite decade.
Whoa, I did not expect that one.
I'm basing that only because I went back and looked at my top 100, and I think 2000s is the one I have the most movies from.
Okay, that's fair. Well,
so I don't know about the math actually, how it turns out, but I'm like I think it has to be that case.
Well, it's very interesting. So as we talked about on Twitch previously, we're on Twitch and recording live. That Dylan and I are doing the 2000s episode of the decades just so we can get it in right before the March deadline. And what's really interesting is the 2000s is a sneaky decade for me, where because it's the decade we grew up with the most in film. Like obviously we're both 90s kids, but when you really start going to the cinema and watching movies, it's the next decade probably for people. And we started to live in theaters during the 2000s and the aughts.
Yeah.
Like we were at the theater at least once a week for a good 6 months of the year. So it was an interesting time. And also, like, we didn't spend Christmas half the time. If we were in town with our nuclear family, so to speak, we were at the movie theater on Christmas Day. We didn't go celebrate it with other people. We usually did that over New Year's and got together with other people. We would go see movies, and we did the classic, Christmas Story. Let's go eat at a Chinese restaurant and then go watch a movie, which is an interesting vibe to say the least. But yeah, it's a decade that I don't look back on that fondly of, ironically enough.
I would have said the same.
I view it as a decade with some stellar hits. As you know, have to put it into sports parables. It's a team with a bunch of all-stars or all-pro players. But it's not a decade that I think is going to really hammer home championship victories over and over and over again. But it's interesting because then the more I look at it, the more I go, oh no, there was a lot of stuff I liked during that time. There's just I just remember a lot of stuff I didn't like.
To me, it's actually more of the opposite. I would compare it to a team that has like a bunch of solid players that always gets overlooked.
Okay.
That's what it feels like to me, just because, like I said, I would not have guessed there were so many from my top 100 that actually are from this decade.
Right. Well, Crash obviously is your favorite movie of all time, so.
Of course.
It solved racism, as we discussed on the Best Picture tier.
Pretty sure that was an F tier, but can't remember off the top of my head.
It was the top of the F tier, I can tell you.
Okay.
After editing the clip, because that was one of the clips I used to sell that one online. Was, hey, Crash is bad.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, besides that, though, I'd actually say in terms of Oscars, pretty damn good in the 2000s.
There's not many, until one specific year, there's not many movies that are, except for one year that completely forgets to nominate the best movie of the year. There's almost every single one of them hits where you just go, no, that's a really good movie. Like
not just really winners, but like you have all the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That the first two lost. You have like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which was amazing. Brokeback Mountain. Everything in 2007 is great. Yeah. Like there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, it's just it's an interesting vibe, and it's an interesting year to say the least, or decade, I should say. So, as we always do on these decade shows, we're going to talk about some trends during that decade of film, some breakout things, and then we'll talk about the defining films of the era and our favorites and our most disappointing films of the year. And trends can be both negative and positive. I'm going to talk about one that breaks my heart first, because this was the last golden era of the studio comedy. Now comedies are all streaming platform first for the most part. We don't get a lot of straight comedies going to theaters. And the raunchy comedy was kind of king for a lot of the aughts.
Yeah, that is definitely something that started in the 90s and then really solidified, especially with like the American Pies of the world.
Yeah.
Like there was a pretty much a whole genre just based on like teen sex comedies.
Right. But even beyond that, just the comedy in general. I mean, defining ones, Knocked Up, Anchorman, Super Bad, Pineapple Express, that entire ilk of films. And then even like the B tier were still really solid good movies, kind of like an old school um just so many other really good comedies at that point. Wedding Crashers would be another one I would look to. Dodgeball, an underrated favorite of mine, in which all of them performed decently well, but really
Mm-hmm.
became huge favorites of the era. And then they just by the mid teens, they were gone.
Yeah, I I mean it kind of makes sense to me, but at the same time it also doesn't make any sense because you would think they're pretty much cheaper to make than like an action movie.
Right.
Like a mid budget action movie still has to be way more money than a mid budget comedy.
Well, I just think it's interesting because I think your point's dead on. I one the cost effectiveness of the comedy is the reason streamers, when they first got into making movies themselves, made comedies because they made horror
Yeah,
movies and they made comedies because they're cheap.
I don't think it doesn't really help the comedy's case that there really aren't film comedians anymore. Like all the ones that um, are still popular are still from the 2000s.
Yeah,
Like the Steve Carell's, the Seth Rogen's, like those are probably still the most popular film actors that do comedy.
yeah.
And
They you have
there's
to
not
be an
like a new
event to
up
be
and
worthwhile.
yeah, there's not an up and coming like roster of great comedic actors.
Well, the thing is, they are all. It's like a lost art. They've forgotten how to take the comedian and morph them into a film star. Because in the teens, it really becomes Kevin Hart and that's it. Kevin Hart was the only bankable comedy
Hmm.
star of the teens. And he don't get me wrong, he starts getting in the 2000s, but that wasn't inherently everybody's like thing. But you're right. It's the Will Ferrells, the Seth Rogens, the Steve Carells. Those guys are the only ones that still make things that get people to at least pay attention. And most of the
Hmm.
time, they're Apple TV exclusives,
Yeah.
or now
And
that a
then
lot
you
of those guys have gone into the mini series or the prestige television format. They've almost abandoned film in some ways.
yeah, and then like the legacy people of comedy kind of started doing everything other than comedy
Yep.
at a certain point. Like Jim Carrey is pretty much the standout, I would say, in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, he's not really making comedies that often.
No, I mean, I just remember I can't I almost don't have an honest assessment on a movie like Yes Man. I loved Yes Man. But I think
Hmm.
it's solely because for 5 years we were starved for Jim. Just make a comedy.
I mean, I'm fine with him making other stuff. It's just he was making stuff that uh didn't seem like him. Like it didn't show off any of his good qualities.
Well, the thing is this, he does Eternal Sunshine and you're like,
Well, that's
"Wow."
great.
You're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, okay." And then he does like the number 23 or whatever. And you just kind of go, what are we doing here? And I think
That movie
that's so
sucks so much.
And I think that's solely because Joel Schumacher is the director and they work together on Batman Forever, that they at least have some sort of rapport. But
Mm, I never thought of that.
I think it's the
That
only
might be
reason.
it.
I think it might be the only reason he does that movie in general.
The only thing I remember about that movie is there's a character or a plot point or something of someone named Top Top Secrets, and it's just top secret. Like that was like one of the reveals in the movie. It was so god awful, and it has a
Yeah.
good cast too. It's got like Virginia Madsen, Jim Carrey, like all good things. And then the other thing with comedy though is you do have a big change from straight comedy to dramedies.
Yes.
They kind of become the norm, at
Yeah.
least in terms of like prestige.
Well, I think it's an interesting balance to where, on the same note that you just said, the bankable comedic stars, that's the bread and butter of Bill Murray during the entire decade. Is is going the Wes Anderson dramedy route and doing films like that, or Lost in Translation, like another one of those guys that if Bill Murray's on the marquee, people will go see it because he's a bankable comedy star.
I'm just gonna look up real quick because Garfield comes out in the 2000s.
Yeah.
How much money that made? Because that's got to be purely off the name of Bill Murray alone.
Well, also the name of Garfield, but
I don't think there was many people in the 2000s calling out for a Garfield
well, I
movie.
mean, here's the thing. Garfield, you usually get a shelf life of about 20 years. Garfield was big in the late 80s. So, and like we've talked about this before. One of my biggest complaints about film is every 20 years the stuff that generation grew up with becomes the stuff they want to make in film. And I
Yeah,
never felt like the 90s, like the big properties got adapted, and then I remember, oh no, they did. It's like the MCU is all 90s kid stuff, really. It's
yeah.
they made Power Rangers into a movie again. They made a lot of those movies, and ironically enough, now major film is going setting everything from the 90s or returning stuff from the
Yeah.
90s instead of the 80s, which,
Garfield made $203 million.
I mean,
Pretty damn good.
that's pretty good. All for one of the best jokes in Zombieland. Do you have any regrets? Garfield, maybe.
Yep.
Do you know why he signed on for that movie?
No.
Reportedly, he signed on because if you look at the director of Garfield, it's a Coen brother, but not a Coen brother as in the Coen brothers.
So they said like the Coens are working on it.
Yeah, so he's like, "Oh, wow, okay, like
Okay, so
cool."
he just got lied to.
So like that, I mean,
Oh no no no. Okay, so actually the director is Peter Hewitt. No idea who that is.
yeah,
Um, oh, he directed Thunderpants. Have you ever seen that?
no.
It's got Rupert Grint when he was a kid.
Oh,
Probably
interesting.
like probably Sorcerer's Stone, right around there. And it's about a kid who farts, and they use his farts to power a rocket. Um, but Joel Cohen did write or co-wrote it,
Huh.
so that is one of the Cohen brothers.
Interesting. Yeah. So he kind of like he I think it was one of those classic, cuz I also read this just recently looking into Bill Murray.
Oh, I take it back. This is a different Joel Cohen.
Correct. But he's like, "Oh, Cohen brother, whatever." Like, so the story was, who knows how accurate it is, but the story was he was told like, "Oh, the Cohen brothers, or a Cohen brothers writing this." And he's like, "Oh, wow, that's big stuff. Yeah, I'll sign on to do it." Didn't really
That-
see much, and then he'd already signed on to do it. And he's like,
yeah,
"Okay."
that's funny though. That person can always go, yeah, Joel Cohen's working on it,
Uh-huh.
and then it turns out to be some completely different guy.
Yeah, it feels very
Hey, to be
Seinfeld.
fair, he's not like writing absolute garbage. Like he did write the screenplay for Toy Story, the first one.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, he's actually a decent writer.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I
It's
just
just not a Cohen brother.
Yeah, yeah. I miss that era of comedy so much. The other thing is I feel like one thing that era did was they did try launching other comedic stars and they just never kind of took. But that's also like a defining thing where you're always supposed to set up the next thing, right? Like it's just like a generational passing of the torch where in comedy there has always seemed to be a little bit of, okay, you're part of the supporting cast. couple of years down the road after a couple of movies, you're going to get a shot to be the star, and then you're going to bring up some other people. It's very cyclical like that.
Yeah, SNL also kind of takes a dip in
A
popularity,
huge
which
dip.
I think that is actually part of it as well. Because like you still had like Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler. Those are SNL's people. But then after them, there really isn't, you know, the person that breaks out from SNL.
Yeah, I mean, well, the funny part is this: SNL has never been the greatest thing in the world, but it was a great.
Yeah, I don't love it.
It's a great boot camp to kind of find diamonds in the rough and bring them to the surface. Because yeah, as you're saying, like the funny part is SNL did create a bunch of stars during that time, but SNL itself was not all that good.
Yeah.
And then it's just a weird place to be. It's also I just like I look at kind of go back to the failed stars comment. Like they really tried to make Ryan Reynolds a comedy star for a while, and Ryan Reynolds doesn't hit anything of true merit until Deadpool in the teens. Everyone likes Ryan Reynolds for the most part,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "Oh, cool," but no one goes out to see Ryan Reynolds movies. The proposal is the proposal is the outlier. The proposal isn't standard fare for him. Like it's those kind
Yeah.
of things. And I feel like Owen Wilson kind of drops off a little bit. Ben Stiller drops off after a while. Like that generation that could have kept going a little bit longer, they just kind of fall by the wayside, and they stop
Well,
doing
no,
certain things.
they stopped making pure comedies
Oh, I
and they
know,
turned to other like creative endeavors.
right? I mean, Ben Stiller's now completely directing at this point. He barely
Exactly.
ever
Ben
works.
Stiller, I can't remember the last time I saw him in anything.
I think it was Zoolander too. Um,
I never saw it because I hate the first one.
I don't like Zoolander either. I've never seen Zoolander 2. I know of its existence, which is why I was like, it might
Yeah.
be Zoolander 2. But it's just a weird one to see. But just kind of run through. I'm going to run through a couple of these. Tell me when you want to stop and talk about some stuff. I think mocap takes the biggest steps in the right direction and really starts
Hmm.
taking form. We've talked about that before.
Visual effects as a whole, really.
Right. I was gonna say one we'll have to talk about is there's that transition in the mid aughts to where everything is let's try to be real and use the tools to our advantage to let's just do everything digitally. And it's
Yeah.
problematic to say the least. And then also animation is taken over by computers as well.
Yes, that's one I had written down is the disappearance of 2D animation, which is a shame, but it's kind of having a little bit of a resurgence.
2D animation is just something that's so labor intensive that
Yeah.
I understand.
I completely understand why they don't get made, but I do think it's a shame.
Yeah, I just have such a love and nostalgia for 2D animation. It's not even from Disney. A lot of people always shout out Disney. I have a love for 2D animation, as I'm sure you do, from old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. We grew up
Mm-hmm.
loving Scooby Doo. We loved, like we both occasionally would wake up early and just watch cartoons in the middle of the night, or very early in the morning when they would play Tom and Jerry, Scooby Doo. We love that kind of stuff. There was a lot of stuff at that time, or there was the hybrid stuff like at Dexter's Lab where it looked different, but it was still hand drawn animation. So
Yeah. I mean, even like things like SpongeBob,
yeah,
which are still like, those were traditional animation. Those were like extremely popular.
yeah,
Everything from Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, which is a shame. I miss some of those shows. I going back on them, I don't know how good they would actually be, but
you'd be surprised because I think they
the one I'm really curious about is Courage the Cowardly Dog. Because I remember actually it being legitimately scary at times.
See, that's the thing. I never I it was oddly enough for me who loves weird dark shit. It was too real.
Yeah.
It was too abstract for me as a
Oh,
time.
it definitely was. It was weird as fuck.
And I didn't really like watching it. But there's a lot of stuff that from that time that I remember and now I've gone back to and I like a lot. But there are certainly things that sure they don't hold up perfectly, but then there's a lot of stuff where you're like, okay, let's just give it a shot, and then I'll go back and go, this was pretty damn good.
Hmm.
I think Hey Arnold does a really good job of sticking up pretty well because that era of animation of the 2D animation did a really good job of not trying to be just a kid show. They try to talk about something, but they would do it in their own unique kind of way, and then it it allows them to stand the test of time. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
and the thing is this, I don't want to sound biased because obviously we grew up in the '90s with '90s stuff, but a lot of the stuff that is still popular for '80s kids viewership was all based on toys, and it was based off of. It was just Saturday mornings were marketing tools. That's all they were.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, because you can go and look them up on YouTube. Like, just go search like 2000s and 90s toy commercials.
Yeah,
That's all we were fed as kids. Is those type of commercials,
right.
and they worked. Let me tell you.
Hey, they worked. I still just to bring joy to my life every like 4 to 6 months when I just need a shot in the arm of happiness. I go back and watch old commercials from that time. Specifically, I always look for the Power Ranger ads because
Hmm.
obviously that's what sold shit to me really, really well. But a lot of that stuff, ironically enough, yes, they had toys backing them, but the product on screen was the first thing, and then they did the marketing behind it. Where the '80s was reversed. Usually, you got the toy and the product line, and then they put out the living commercial known as the show,
Hmm.
and then they backed it with more commercials. In the '90s, in the '90s and the 2000s, except for the advent of SpongeBob, it very much became a let's get the product on screen, and then let's work from there, which was obviously I think the right avenue to do things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the loss of 2D animation is insane because it happens like that. It's like overnight.
It doesn't help that Disney was also in like a huge slump because like from really like after 99, which is Tarzan.
Yeah.
I think 98 is Mulan.
Yep.
I think it's 98. Pretty much after those two, everything they release is very mediocre and also doesn't hit in terms of like box
They
office.
don't have a single box office hit outside of Pixar for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good stuff during that time. But it's good for
Eh,
niche stuff. It's not
I wouldn't say they're bad movies, but I definitely wouldn't say like I'd put anything in that era like remotely close to a top 20 Disney movie.
yeah. I mean, we're coming out of the Renaissance era, which is their highest peak of consistent great work. Because Disney, I actually love going down the Disney rabbit hole. I love doing Disney history stuff
Oh, that's
because
another thing we were fed. Those Disney commercials that made you want to go to Disney World.
uh-huh.
Those things, yeah, I remember seeing all those.
Uh-huh. The kid who's on Dumbo and he's looking like this and yeah, I know that.
Yeah, so starting in 2000,
Happiest
you
most
get
expensive place on earth.
yeah, you get the Tigger movie, Dinosaur, The Emperor's New Groove, pretty quality there actually. Then you get Recess. Remember that? School's out.
Recess is a great show. Not a great
Yeah.
movie quality.
Then you get Atlantis.
Underrated by the way. Underrated.
I don't love it, but I know a lot of people. It is kind of a cult hit.
It's a cult hit. It's certainly a cult hit.
And then you get Lilo and Stitch, which is their probably their most successful of that era.
but it's the least. It doesn't have a lot of box office backing to it. That was
Now it does.
well, yeah, which is hilarious because the only review I heard of Lilo and Stitch was quote because I didn't watch it. They changed the ending. What the fuck was that about? And I went, oh, cool. Because I loved Lilo and Stitch as a kid. Now I'm kind of like,
Yeah, I really liked it too. Then you get Treasure Planet, Brother Bear, Home on the
you
Range.
fucking loved Brother Bear, dude.
Brother Bear's, I still enjoy it. I can admit it's not a good movie, but I like it.
Yeah.
Um, then you get Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons,
God, not a lot of good stuff coming out here, man.
Bolt, and then their next biggest hit, which kind of is the like resurgence of Disney, is Princess and the Frog, which is 2009.
And it wasn't even that great of a resurgence. It was just
It's
we
the
got a hit.
marking point. It's a marking point where it's like, okay, they're at least kind of making good stuff again.
Right. And I love Princess and the Frog. I'm not here to shit on Princess and the
I
Frog.
like it too. Although I don't. What
Favorite Disney
Tiana's
princess. Favorite Disney princess. Straight up.
that they took over which ride was it? Space Mountain or Splash Mountain?
Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain. Okay, that's the only thing I know about it.
They decided to finally get rid of the deeply racist Southern roots and and redo it.
I think that's fair.
I think that's probably for the best.
I mean, I couldn't tell you a single thing about Splash Mountain. I mean, we went to Disney multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't have a single memory of that
Well,
place.
one of the reasons we went to Disney is our father, who ever looking for the deal. Did we go to Disney? No, I don't think that matches up well. But that was when there were still like down periods of Disney.
Mm.
So we would always go during a down period.
And we only went to Disney World and never Disneyland.
Yeah, neither of us have been to Disneyland. I wouldn't be shocked if I end up going to Disneyland once in the next like decade, just because I have so many friends out in Southern California, and magically all of them changed from I don't think we're gonna be parents to I think we're gonna be parents. I was like, motherfuckers, come on.
Don't hear of that happening
No,
often.
it's wild how many of our friends all of a sudden were like, yeah, we think we're actually gonna settle down and have kids. We're like, what is this? I remember being the standout back in the day, like, no, I think kids can be great. And now I'm like totally like, nah, I'm cool. I don't need kids. And that's when all of our friends are like, I think we might have kids now. I'm like, come on. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if we end up going to Disneyland just to go hang out with some friends and take their little ones when we go. But it is it's also again, I just saw another video where it's still cheaper for an American to fly to Tokyo Disneyland and go to Tokyo or Tokyo Disney World than it is to go to the American Disney World.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, now you know.
And
I'd rather do that.
The only fact checking thing I will say is we are currently, as of recording, in the middle of a very, very stupid war that was completely unnecessary to start. So, by oil prices, perhaps that number has changed enough to maybe.
You'd probably think it's still about the same.
It's close. It's not so much of a slam dunk. So that's why I'm saying that perhaps just because the fuel cost for.
I mean, no matter what,
travel,
you're going to have to go through 10 hours of security at an airport.
Yeah, I am not looking forward to a couple of our upstanding.
Yeah.
Our upcoming. I highly, highly recommend you go get some some TSA pre-check, my friends.
Yeah. That is something I'm starting to worry about a little bit. That's why I'm thinking I might fly out of a smaller airport.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. For context, Dylan and I are going to the World Cup in June with my lovely wife. So, yeah, I'm not excited necessarily for that. So yeah, I think I'm on your part. I might just say fuck it. Let's just pay the extra money to fly through a smaller airport
Mm-hmm.
because it's fucking ridiculous right now. But yeah, the computer animation takeover starts all the way with Shrek. Shrek looks impeccable and really was a great defining film of its genre. When we get to defining films, I don't have Shrek
Well,
listed.
really it starts with Pixar,
Yeah.
but then Shrek is the first one that's like, oh, okay, so they're not the only ones that can do it.
Well, that's the other thing. I think that's something that is worthwhile to talk about is Disney stops being the standard for
Yeah.
everything, and Disney finally has competitors. Because I remember so many movies that if you took to the behind the scenes stuff when they and like George Lucas, even when he's talking about Star Wars, and when he first starts talking about it as a children's movie, which obviously
Hmm.
we all know is horseshit, but nonetheless, a lot of the stuff back in the day, studios wouldn't even attempt to make movies for younger people because they're like, Disney does that. We can't do that. And finally, other studios were like, no, why can't we do this? Let's just go do it.
I also think because like throughout the 80s and definitely in the 90s, you have a lot of like sub companies
Yeah.
where like Disney has Touchstone, so they can make a little bit more like adult stuff.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, they kind of all vanish, and they all like conglomerate into
Big studio name. Well,
yeah.
it's funny you bring that up. We just watched, Ab came back, I think Friday night from work or whatever, and she's like, I'm in a romantic comedy mood. I went, okay, sounds good. Let's watch a rom com. And then she just goes, let's watch The Proposal. I went, okay, let's watch The Proposal. And I forgot The Proposal is Touchstone.
Hmm.
But she even asked me, she's like, why does it feel like there's so many movie studios out there? I was like, well, there is and there isn't. There's not many big studios, but there's a ton of little ones that
Yeah, there's
all
a lot of production companies, not a lot of distributors.
right. So that's why like you'll see a lot of four different little production houses all together, but the
Hmm.
distributor is a big one. And it is interesting to see how many of those have gone away. Like I feel like New Line's the only one that still even remotely exists, and it doesn't even really exist anymore. It's just always under Warner Brothers banner.
Yeah.
Which who knows how long that's going to last after some
Yeah.
dealings right now. So
I do really miss the era of like you see one studio logo and that's it
yep,
before a movie.
yeah.
Like I do miss that.
Well, it's wild of all the companies to have restraint because we grew up in the area where they just stopped having restraint, or we came to age when they stopped having restraint. Was Disney? Disney very much understood their reputation. So they made a ton of movies that weren't of their reputation. They just put them under the Touchstone banner. Like
Hmm.
people don't even know that's how good they did it. So many people of our generation do not know that Touchstone is Disney,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and it was like very much a. I give credit to people like Michael Eisner and other people that are like, no, 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 we're gonna respect the brand. We're gonna we're gonna protect this brand as much as possible, but we can still make these movies. We just have to put them under the Touchstone banner so that if things go wrong or they don't get the right reputation, they won't hurt the Disney brand.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why people don't do that more.
Yeah. I don't think there's that much like controversy anymore about studios making being
No, I mean,
such a branded thing.
everything's branded to the fucking nth most at this point. It's fucking ridiculous, right? So it's it's, it's not fun. It's not fun. But I'll just go quick rapid fire here, and again, tell me if you want to get into it. The time of the IP investment begins now in the 2000s, where this was the beginning of if you had intellectual property behind you, you could make a movie. The teen and YA obsession begins with Twilight.
Hmm.
The foreign language film becomes a viable option for American audiences and Western audiences, where I'm not saying they take over, but they become viable enough that people will go see
Yeah,
them.
there's definitely breakouts. Yeah.
And then we start getting that classic grit and real obsession during the aughts, where you get the reforging of Bond, you get the Dark Knight trilogy, you get the Bourne franchise, where everything becomes, we want it to be gritty and we want it to be real. And then you have other movies that are prestige formats, such as The Departed or No Country for Old Men, that are extremely gritty and dark and real to keep that going. So those are just some other things that I wanted to point out before we go into visual effects deciding to kill everything. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much to say about the visual effects stuff, just because it is what it is. It's cheaper.
it, I get it.
It's
It's
easier.
just like I said, I mentioned it in about 2005 to 2007. It feels like there's this enormous shift just in 2-3 years time, where we had visual effects were used as a tool to visual effects become the driver of the movie.
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
And I think that's a huge downfall of what we're doing here, because why are we doing it this way? The substance of the movie, you need to make it feel tangible and real. And the thing is this, I understand it because it's out of practicality. It really is. How are we going to make this how are we going to make this creature with tentacles as a beard? Well, we can do it in the computer. And you're like, okay.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, well, that works so well. Why don't we just do this then? And do this then and do this then? And
I don't have a problem with any of that. My biggest problem is that now entire sets are CG
yeah,
rather than building anything. That's like the biggest downfall to me. But once again, I know why it's like that.
yeah. It's just not fun. It's just not fun to see because nothing feels tangible and real anymore. So that's why when occasionally it does feel tangible and real, it stands out a lot. A lot, a
Yeah.
lot. Alrighty. Let's go defining films of the era. What are some to you that just define the era?
Um, Lord of the Rings,
You know,
all the Harry Potters, obviously.
a lot of franchises up in here.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I would say like, I mean, I have a bunch of personal ones here, and they're all smaller movies. Well, most of them are smaller movies.
Sure.
I had from my top 100, 19 of the movies are from the 2000s.
Wow. That does settle it. Because you have quite a range on your top 100. Mine is
Yeah,
very concentrated with some outliers for the most part. So
I'd assume either 2000s or 90s has the most. But like things like Zodiac, Wally, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, those are all movies I absolutely love.
yeah.
I did. I don't think they're necessarily the most culturally important.
Well, here I'll throw some out for you. I think the defining film of the decade is The Dark Knight, for multiple reasons, and we just did an entire tournament where The Dark Knight went to the final to talk about the greatest movie franchise of all time. So if you want to hear more Dark Knight talk, please go check out the tournament that we just did. But that if someone said what is the movie of the decade, I'd be like, I don't think it's a question. I think it's The Dark Knight. But I have Return of the King or Lord of the Rings in general. Going back to that comedy realm, I think Anchorman is in that discussion because it's one of the standouts that always stands the test
Yep,
of time.
that's fair.
I think Glorious Bastards is another one of those big definers of a time period as well. Everyone said
Yep.
Kill. When I looked it up just to kind of get some ideas, everyone says Kill Bill. I'm like, Kill Bill did not have the impact that Inglorious Bastards did in terms of I feel like Inglorious Bastards is the turn where there were Tarantino fans, and then there just became Tarantino made a movie that everyone liked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, Kill Bill is very popular in certain circles.
Yeah,
Like
I like
the
Kill Bill. I'm
film,
not shitting on Kill Bill, but
the film bros out there love it.
yeah. Um, I have to mention it because it technically came out in 2009. Avatar. I literally have it in quotes because it's far more of a 2010 movie because it came out
Yeah.
December 20th of 2009.
Hmm.
And also that one, was like Titanic. It didn't do huge numbers the first 10 days it was in the box office.
No,
It
it just
does
stayed in
it
theaters
just it
forever.
just I mean, I remember seeing Avatar in April. Like 4 months later. You don't see that anymore, man.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Harry Potter, as we already talked about, on the bad end, obviously, I think the prequels really define this genre or this decade as well. The Star Wars prequels, because they were such an obsession at one time. And then Finding Nemo, I think, is a defining film of this generation
I would agree with
or of
that.
that
Yeah.
decade. Where, ironically enough, I don't even think it's a top two of the best Pixar movies. I would argue it'd probably be for me Wall-E and Up. I think are two movies that I find more
Yeah,
appealing than
I
Finding
think
Nemo.
most people would probably say Incredibles,
Oh yeah, or
Red,
Incredibles.
Incredibles, Ratatouille, Up. Those are probably the three that are most.
I forgot about those two in general. So actually, I was about to say Ratatouille, and I forgot it, and I just went, let's go over the top.
Yeah,
The Departed and No Country for Old Men, I think, are your prestige wow films,
yeah, 100%.
and then I'll say Gladiator still gets plot. It still gets pop somehow. So Gladiator's up there,
Hmm.
and then also speaking to some more diversification, I'd say Brokeback Mountain is part of that defining film. Um,
Yeah, it definitely was. Pretty much just look at like the spoof movies, and those are the cultural touchstones
yeah,
of the 2000s.
that is a great way to say that. Look at what got spoofed, and then
Yeah, especially because Scary Movie. I mean, obviously there's a new one coming out,
yeah,
but like those were popular movies in the 2000s,
yeah,
the spoof movies, and then they completely died off and got
it's because they were
com-
terrible. They were
yeah,
fucking terrible.
most of them were bad. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, those are movies I view as the definers of a decade. If you had to pick one, what is the movie of the decade?
For me, it's probably No Country.
It's fair.
I mean, I don't know. It's really hard because like you have Zodiac, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
You have Pride and Prejudice, which I absolutely love. You have Wally. Like there's tons of movies that I absolutely love
Yeah.
in the 2000s.
It is certainly an interesting one. Now, before we go into some favorites, because we always want to try to end positively, most disappointing movie of the decade or disappointments of the decade.
I hate to say it, but it's probably Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal
It's
Skull.
one of the two I have listed.
Even though I don't hate that movie.
No, we talk about this all the time. We just talked about it in the franchise. You slap any other title on that movie. Don't call it Indiana Jones. It's just a basic adventure movie. It's a fun passing movie that probably makes a good $400 to $500 million at the box office. People are like, oh, did you see that? That's crazy. Okay, cool,
Hmm.
cool, and then it goes away because it comes out in a
Yeah,
year with Iron Man and The Dark Knight, and it's sandwiched right between the two of them.
yeah.
And it's just like I remember I was like, this
That
is going to be a good year for your boy.
like the only reason it's a disappointment is because it was so built up. That's really the only reason.
I don't even know if it was so built up. I just think it's the first time in our lives we were old enough to feel that, like, oh my god, the thing that we love is gonna come back.
Yeah.
Because
Also,
we grew up during the prequels, just like we didn't understand the true impact of Star Wars yet,
yeah.
so we didn't
I
have
I
that
would
like, oh my god, Star Wars is coming back kind of thing.
I would say the prequels
Yeah,
are definitely one
those are the two I have listed. It's the prequels,
because
and I have Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
you can also look at it like, okay, maybe the Phantom Menace was just a fluke that it was bad. Maybe that's going to be the outlier of this trilogy, and the second and third one are going to be great.
Yeah.
But it just didn't turn out that way.
Well, that's the crazy part is, again, because we've been talking so much Star Wars and so many other things. I did go back. I was not. It was not my active activity. I was trying to write notes at the same time. But again, I tried watching Phantom Menace again just to be like, okay, let me try to get this again. And I fell asleep multiple times.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
And I was just like, okay. I think I got this now. Because the other thing is, I have some ideas for next year that we're going to be working on. That I was like, okay, I got to watch some Star Wars. They're Star Wars related. Star Wars episodes always do numbers for us, so I'll always do more Star Wars. But the it, Phantom Menace has enough high points, especially at the time, that I think you're right. A lot of people were just holding that hope, just being like, that the lightsaber fight though, the pod race,
Hmm.
Darth Maul was so cool. Everything looked awesome.
Well, like the way I look at it is the Phantom Menace could have been what Return of the Jedi is,
Yeah,
where it's the one people make excuses for
yeah.
of the trilogy. It could have been that way if 2 and 3 were great. It's just happened that 2 and 3 aren't great.
I mean, two is terrible. Two is
Yeah, 2 is the worst of the bunch.
two is the I think it's the worst Star Wars movie in general. Because you already come to
Yeah,
it's that or Rise of Skywalker. Those are your two
eh,
options.
it's that or Last Jedi for me.
Here's the thing: I hate Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi is absolute shit. But when I look at it again, just a movie, not Star Wars, it's not a bad movie. I think it's one of the.
I still think it's
I
bad,
think
no
it's a
matter what.
terrible Star Wars movie, but I can look at it and go, I think this would be a run of the mill film if it wasn't Star Wars. Problematic, flawed, but
Mhm.
fine because there's also some. It looks beautiful. And there is some good commentary in it, but Rise of Skywalker is a fucking mess. It's
Yeah,
terrible,
I mean they're both bad,
and
but
Attack of the Clones is so goddamn bad and ain't even funny.
yeah,
Which is why when Revenge of the Sith, just for the most part, Revenge of the Sith is right down the middle, as average as you can be, with some great lightsaber choreography. Everyone's like, "This is awesome," because it was just
yeah. I mean, Star Wars really branded itself into kind of what Star Wars is now,
yeah,
where it's just like it's going to be here forever,
yeah,
whether you like it or not.
uh-huh. I mean, there's just so many people that still. It is wild to me how many people apologize for it. It's wild. But yeah, those are the obvious two. Hilarious that George Lucas does such a great job in the 80s and the 70s that the most disappointing stuff 2 decades later is the stuff that he puts out.
Yeah, there's other movies like um, I would say like Prince of Persia. I wish that was better.
Yeah,
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I wish that was better.
I mean, that was bad enough that Sean Connery retired.
Yeah, Oh no, Green Lantern's
11.
2010. Okay.
Oh, trust me,
Uh,
Green Lantern. I don't even know. Green Lantern's so bad, I don't even know if I mentioned it in the
oh,
category.
for most people, they would probably say Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that's a disappointment, especially because you get excited because you're like, oh, they're going to do Venom. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Topher Grace is Venom.
I,
Cool.
I never really loved the Tobey Maguire ones. That's why it's not a huge disappointment for me.
It's the same deal. It's part of the reason, even when they were coming out, I enjoyed going to them, but I always loved the Spider-Man 94 series way more than I liked the Tobey Maguire franchise of films. And I knew the 94 series was going to do way better. So I just was like, okay, I'll just watch the cartoon then.
Hmm.
Cool. And so I'd get a bunch of VHS tapes of the cartoon, or I'd find it on Jetix or Fox Kids or whatever at the time and just watch Spider-Man. But yeah, I mean, I would put that in that category. I'd put Transformers 2 in that category, where I didn't love Transformers, but I liked Transformers 1 enough to be like, oh, this could be cool. And then Transformers 2
Hmm.
is godforsakenly bad.
Uh, I give them a little bit of a pass, just like I give Quantum of Solace a little bit of a pass, just because that is right when the writer's strike is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really?
Is that a total excuse? No. But
Yeah, exactly.
is that a big enough excuse to go, we'll let you through? Sure.
Hmm.
Now, question for you. What's worse? Revenge of the Fallen or Attack of the Clones?
I like Revenge of the Fallen way more.
Interesting. Okay.
By like,
They're both terrible.
they're not even close.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I
Revenge of
hate
the Fallen's so bad.
it. Oh, it's awful. It's a
It's
bad movie.
terrible.
But if you told me like you have to watch one of these today, I'd pick Revenge of the Fallen.
Fair. I think I'd
I
pick
at least get some enjoyment out of it.
I think I'd pick Attack of the Clones and just be like, just tune out until Christopher Lee's on screen and tune out until Yoda's on screen and call it a day.
Yeah. Eh.
I think that's how I would do it, but that's very fair. All right, let's end some positive note though. Some of your favorites from the decade.
Um, I'll just go through my list real quick. Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Wall-E, Zodiac, Pride and Prejudice, Crouching Tiger, Star Trek '09. I think that's a hidden gem. Zombieland,
Yep.
Atonement, The Incredibles, Slumdog Millionaire, Little Miss Sunshine.
Very fair. Yeah, I because we talked about them at nauseum for the last month. I'm not going to go deep into The Dark Knight or Lord of the Rings, but we all know I love those dearly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Anchorman is certainly in that discussion, but accepted. Just a nice
Yeah,
down the pipe comedy movie. Love it.
it's a good hidden gem.
Casino Royale, phenomenal.
Yep.
Superbad is such an incredible comedy that I absolutely adore. That
Step Brothers as well.
Step Brothers
Also
is
really great.
so good. I think Old School's a nice little underrated gem. Wedding Crashers is a nice little underrated gem. Dodgeball is another favorite of mine.
Mm-hmm.
That I absolutely adore. Dodgeball. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good film from this era, but not a ton of stuff that outside of the two that we talked about in the franchise tournament that I'm like, that's stuck with me forever and it will always stay with me forever as the greatest impactors. But I think I'm coming more around to your thought process on this, which was, wow, there's a lot of just good movies in the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, you also have like movies that no one talks about that are great, like The Prestige. I would put in that
Love
camp.
The Prestige. Love it.
If you're talking about like these are more like film, like hoity-toity movies, but you get like Children of Men. I think is another one that's both good and great filmmaking.
Sure.
I mean, there's tons of stuff that's great. They're not just. I think this is where you get a lot of the successful movies start turning into not great movies.
Yeah. Well, it's so much IP driven stuff.
Yeah. Because, like, I think the 90s has enough each year where I'm like, oh, this is an interesting top 10 of movies.
Yeah.
And then by the late 2000s, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is all just half of them are good, half of them are shit.
Half of them are good or half of them are average at best. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a trend. It's a trend in movies that we got to see through. I think we're starting to turn a little bit of a light away from some stuff, but not completely. We're never going to get out of IP land now because we have so many corporate interests in film that, God damn it, we need a hit. So we're going to pick something that we know we're going to make money off of, which hilariously so also lines them up for bigger misses, which is what I think is most funny.
Yeah. There's definitely some that are better at it than others.
Well, I just
talking to you, Sony.
Well, I mean, Sony's bad enough that they had to call Big Brother and be like, please help us. That's still people like we should have talked about that in the tens episode. It is insane in the IP driven treasure chest that everyone's hoarding their IP like dragons.
Mm-hmm.
That Spider-Man went so poorly that they went to Marvel and said, hey.
That's not the funny part to me. The funny part is that that's not even the low point for them. The low point comes after that with like Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web.
But it doesn't have Spider-Man.
Like those are way.
They don't have Spider-Man in the name. That's the biggest thing. You're right, though.
Yes. But like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is 10 times a better movie than Madam Web
Well,
or Craven the Hunter
it looks
or
like fucking
Morbius.
it looks like Lawrence of Arabia compared to those guys. Like it's
Yeah.
and I would say Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is below average. I think that's what
I'd say it's garbage. It's bad.
I mean, good chemistry between your leads, but that's about it. Um
Pretty much.
it's, yeah, Green Goblin's terrible in that. Jamie Foxx,
He's awful.
that looks terrible.
He's phoning that in so hard. I mean, I don't blame him,
I
but
just it was that's not the reason we're talking about. You know, we should like but yeah, it is wild. We never talked about that in Ten's episode. The fact that I don't know why people don't make more deals like that. Work with people you know that can make it work. Don't just
well, it's because they want to make as much money as possible. That's it.
well, it's all shareholder return and all this garbage, but it's fucking ridiculous. Like, come on, guys, get it together. Get it the fuck
They
together.
don't care about the products they're making.
Yeah,
That's just the brutal fact of it. Is the most studios probably don't give a shit
yeah,
whether or not the movie's good. They just care about the returns it gets.
yeah. Pretty much, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. But let's hope things get a little bit better in the future. Let's hope. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't. Shouldn't say I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be okay if we went a little bit more extra 2000s, just so we can get some more random stuff that just randomly hits. Also, didn't even talk about it. Pirates of the Caribbean. Great job during the 2000s as well. Curse of the Black
Hmm.
Pearl. Great movie. Great
Yeah, that's
movie.
on my top 100. Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff in the 2000s. I think it's hidden behind Transformers for me and the prequels. I'm just like, ugh, really pissed me off.
I mean, it's undeniably there is a lot of trash in the 2000s as well.
Oh
So,
yeah. I think it's easier because we don't live through it. There's so much trash in every decade of film, but because we
mhm.
didn't live through it that way, we only know the good shit.
Yeah, the shit gets filtered out.
Yeah. So, which I think was hilarious to me, is streaming services have kept the trash of the 2000s onward alive. That people still have like
True.
Norbit streaming, and I'm like, first of all, who's asking for Norbit
I went to the
to be
theater
streamed?
to see Norbit. That movie sucks. And then I also went to the theater to see Hot Rod.
Oh yeah, you love Hot Rod.
And at the time, I didn't um, blanking on his name. What's his name?
Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg. I did not like understand or enjoy his comedy at the time.
Yeah.
Tried going through that movie without laughing, and I made it a good like 45 minutes. And then finally, there was a part where it was so dumb I had to laugh. But
Also, we forgot because we didn't include Quentin Tarantino's opinion. Jackass. It's the era of Jackass in film.
true,
And you know what? It's better than a lot of stuff today, which is
I would agree.
insane to think about. But yeah, no, what that's another good thing we should have asked. What's the best movie and the worst movie you've sat through from each decade? That's another good one. What do you think is the worst movie of the 2000s that you sat through?
I don't know. Maybe Norbit.
Norwood's got to be up there.
I
God,
mean, a lot of people would say Master of Disguise is awful, but I love that movie.
it's bad. It's
It's
really bad.
bad, but I love it.
The thing is, I think I certainly, I'm not sitting here. I liked it as a kid when we were watching it, but you guys were obsessed with it. I was like, yeah, fine. You guys wanted to watch it every fucking day, 12 times a day. I was like, I can't do that. But now
Yeah.
when I look back on it, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's bad. That's turn it off bad. Like,
I disagree, but
but it's certainly interesting, to say the least. But that's gonna do it here for our decades episode, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, lurking, wherever you may be. If you want to check it out, we have the greatest movie franchise tournament. Every episode will be available as of Tuesday, March 31st in recorded form. All of them were streamed, though, for the most part. So we're A-OK on that one as well. So you may already know the answer to what is, I should say, the greatest film franchise of all time. And we got some more great game show content and things coming your way, including Dylan's Founding Fathers versus the Cryptids Avengers movie, which
Yes.
I still think is one of my favorite ideas you've ever had because
It's the dumbest
it's
idea, but
so absurd. It's just sell me a baby, sell me a movie, baby. That's
mm,
what I'm thinking. So there's so many good things coming out your way. So stay tuned for that. And now that Dylan and I both have a little bit more of a stabilized schedule for at least the next month or two, you're gonna get some more good stuff. Plus, we're going into summer season, so you'll be getting even more movie reviews from your boy, including I will have Super Mario Galaxy movie. The review will probably be up somewhere around 3 or 4 a.m.
mm,
On Tuesday night going to Wednesday morning because they're doing another vestige of the 2000s that I miss, the midnight movie. I
yeah.
missed the midnight movie. I loved the midnight movie. Super Mario Galaxy is doing a midnight screening, and I'm going to the midnight screening. And I'm
Mm.
very, very excited because also
It's an odd choice considering it's aimed at kids, but
I think it's solely they know their audience is old enough in terms of just the nerds that'll go, but
yeah.
B, it is also very interesting because they already moved it up. So I think the only way they could do like an earlier day screening was to get the midnight screening in. So I was like, yeah, whatever.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So it is certainly interesting on that one. But that is going to do it here, folks. Check out the rest of our content over at those Davies Boys and Really Snappy Gaming. But as always, persist and resist. Peace, love, and hugs to you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.